Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the SIG Node meeting. It is December 3rd, 2024. We have a pretty small agenda today. One person asking for feedback. Is this, is it Mina? How do you pronounce it?
Minna, yes.
Mina.
Yeah,
Did you
just
have
asking
anything
for
additional there?
nothing. This has just been going on for a while, and team is asking for some progress. But very thankful already for the updates I've gotten just by putting it there.
Yeah, totally. This has been something that I have wondered why we didn't do in the first place, and I'm wondering if anyone here has any context. I'm not seeing Don or Derek, so I'm not sure we have the full context present as to why we didn't do this to start.
Yeah, I wonder, Mina, if you did any search, because I mean, as Peter said that it was made for a reason, and I am not sure what the reason is, and it doesn't seem logical, at least not very logical. So I was wondering if you have any, did any search or investigation before sending this PR?
Yeah, this was put to me from our upstream. Like, I'm not originally one that actually encountered this problem with our setup, but they basically claim that because we have such a big workflow going on, lots of pods, lots of long taking startup processes, and lots of infrastructure that needs to get done before any of those pods can actually run. It was like wasting major amounts of resources because we're trying to put this whole thing into a small package. So, and then they were looking a little bit into the code and realizing that some pods are just stuck in the startup loop because of this. And if we could just get the prioritization straight so that the actual infrastructure bots get actually like queued up first for startup, that would also already like reduce our startup times majorly. But because this isn't something that I have encountered, I have been having some issues getting actual data from the reporter. And while trying to duplicate it and figure out what would be like realistic gains, I have only been doing like a smaller applications, and those are showing a little bit more minimalistic gains than what is what could be like, I think, considered major gains, and asked for
Yeah.
to make like priority better on this PR. But this is something that would be really important to the reporter. So
Yeah, I'm
Hello.
wondering if we could ask them to bring more information on that data. Sorry, yeah, Francesco, go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, I reviewed the PR backing time and I'm all
yeah,
for it. But well, the only issue I see, I think I commented, is that since this is not the best tested flow ever in kubelet, we need to have some extra coverage. And if you, again, like Peter mentioned, if you can demonstrate the gains, that will help because that will help building the case.
yeah,
But I want to reiterate that I'm all for it. And on top of that, I think we should go farther than that. I mean, we should merge this PR and then start a conversation about rethinking uh, the startup flow and, for example, distinguishing between infra pods, for example, device plugin pods and application pods. But again, on top of this PR, after this PR, we use that as a conversation starter for further changes.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. This is something that we hit a while ago in like Cryo and OpenShift, where we had to basically do a hack to make it so that the networking pod started up earlier than other ones um, to combat this problem. So this is, I definitely also agree that this is a problem that I think would be useful. I think another, just one quick note also, for this PR, and I can write a comment on it, I think we should probably have a feature gate and probably we can have it start at beta and default to on, but I think that we should have a way to easily turn it off in case it causes breakages, and that also gives us agency to revert it if, like, more agency to revert it if it someone happens to be relying on it or it breaks or something like that.
Francesco, to your comment, but if device plugins and similar ports are marked as system critical or node critical, with sorting by priority already should take care of it, isn't it?
Partially. The problem which I encountered on behalf of some users is that, yes, the kubelet starts the pod, but if the application pods depend on other pod, it's not enough to the prior pod to be started. It has to reach a certain stage. For example, device plugin has to be reported available, which is, is a synchronous operation with respect to the startup flow. So it helps, but you still have a race.
But practically what you're trying to say is we need to run all the system critical or not critical, wait until all of them are ready, and only afterwards starts normal pods. Right?
If we are brainstorming something like that, and I think there are two very interesting conversations ongoing already. For example, the two things not for example, the exact two things I have in mind is that Clayton had some comments about some class of the admissions of the admission error, which should trigger an automatic kubelet restart. And as far as I understand, this is a topic which is being, let's say, on hold for a while. So not something, groundbreaking new. And on top of that, we have the example of the scheduling gate, which we could translate in some form, not literally, not one-on-one, but translate on with the admission gates. Like, hey, don't even try admission, just keep iterating with this pod until this other condition is met. And combining the two, I think we can have a possible approach for this thing using tools and techniques and ideas that are already accepted in the community. But this is, again, just my brainstorming.
On those conversations, what you mentioned, like Clayton and others, where we are?
That conversation was pretty much scattered through comments about other pair. I think the last time we talked about when Clayton did some refactoring and some fixes about pod worker, which was 28 or so, I don't remember. But other than that, I think it was on hold. I think maybe early 2025 we can start this conversation in a more structured way.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think same thing for pod admission. Like we have pod admission, bigger things that we can implement with something opposite of graceful termination, with critical pod having their own timeout and then system pods being deleted. Okay, but we also have like first steps that we discussed last release. We can do like short retries on pod admission. That will help just a little bit with what you discussed, Francesca. I want to come back. Oh, you want to reply?
I just want to say that it seems to me there is interest in the community, so we can start a conversation and see where it leads. I think yeah.
Yeah, if anybody wants to drive it, I will be all for that. Coming back to this PR, I think the only side effect, though, maybe is that instead of so with old behavior, if new critical pod is scheduled, it will result in eviction of older pod. And with the new behavior, if kubelet was restarted during critical pod, during the time when critical pod was scheduled, instead of eviction of old pod, you'll have pod admission failure of older pod. So instead of eviction, that is clearly explaining that like there is new critical pod, new pod is evicted. Now we get admission failure. It may be confusing, but I cannot think of anything beyond the confusion that it may cause. So maybe we need to clarify and like be very clear that this confusion may happen. Maybe even add it to release notes. And to Peter's point, having a way to disable this logic with feature gate is beneficial in this case.
Mina, if you want, we can be in touch on Slack or in GitHub comments about adding the feature gate if you need any help. Otherwise, just go for it and add the feature gate.
Yeah, I'll look into it and try to implement.
Okay. If you need any help, feel free to tag me on Slack or on GitHub.
Yes, thank you, and
Thank
thanks
you.
everybody else as well.
I just want to
Great, thank you.
clarify, Mina, 133 is not 132 is not released yet, so you know that it will be delayed before the merge, right? So you just wanted to bring
Yeah, yeah.
awareness. Okay, so you're aware of scattering.
Yeah.
And I think by the adding of the feature gate, we may also want to go through the feature cycle also, like process a little bit as well. I mean, we have some preliminary consensus here, but we should make, that would make sure that all the stakeholders see it. And then we can address that for 133. And theoretically, we could have, this on by default beta feature in then. So it'll practically be like we get the feature in, but we have a little bit more paperwork on. Cool. Anything else on that topic? Alrighty. We are out of agenda items. Did anyone have anything else they wanted to talk about? Everyone's all sleepy for the winter. Okay, cool. Then I think we can adjourn for today. Thank you everyone for joining.
Before we finish, let's say that if there is no agenda item the day before the meeting during December, we'll cancel it very aggressively because December is very slow months, and we really need people to show up before, so we know that. We don't want to make people wait for the meeting and there is no meeting at the site.
Cool. Good to note. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Maybe see you
Bye.
next week. Bye.
Thank you.